Hello and welcome everyone, I'm Madals and today I've got game number 1 of a best of 1. It's just a little bit of fun, and yeah, it is between two really awesome players. So up in the top right position, spawning as the red Protoss player, it is none other than my Insanity's Stardust. And his opponent, down in the bottom left, the blue Zerg player from Core EU is his current clan tags, not quite sure what that's for, I'll have to ask him. It is JonnyREcco. Derelict Watcher is gonna be the map, and of course remember this is the map where the engines point the wrong way, and I will keep saying that time and time again every time I spawn onto this map because people need to know this. They need to know it a lot, and seriously, it needs to be a Reddit thread or something. Anyway, so we do have basically ZVP. Looks like Stardust is going to be going for some kind of gateway expand. The reason I know that, pylon on the high ground, not down on the low ground. Also, this is quite an awkward map to fudge fast expand on, just because this ramp area isn't huge, but it's a bit awkward. Also, it's a two-player spawn. Generally speaking, two-player spawns open up the risk of getting early ling pressure. Now, if Stardust knew JonnyREcco, he may still risk going for just a Nexus first. He could even still hypothetically go Nexus first. It's just a bit less likely. But the reason I say that is JonnyREcco, of course, a massive macro Zerg. He will sit back and just macro up for all eternity, which could be another reason why we see Stardust going for this gateway, because he could follow that up with, say, 3 gateways down the bottom here, come over, deal some damage with the Mothership Core, and generally just be a bit of a pain. And that would be good news, because if you're a bit of a pain to your opponent, especially when they just want to macro up, they're going to get thrown off of their path that they want to be following down, and if you knock them off that, then guess what, you're actually in quite a good spot, and it always makes you feel a bit better. So, Overlord's coming out, not too much going on here. JonnyREcco going down the spawning pool first. Very normal opening up against Protoss players. Probably going to be grabbing down that expansion soon. The third doesn't need to be super quick because it wasn't a Forge Fast expansion or Nexus first, therefore JonnyREcco needs to get a gas. That gas predominantly is to allow two things. One, start getting speed up. Also, to get a rotor on if he sees some stuff he doesn't like, especially with this Overlord coming over. Needs to check what kind of opening is this going to be, what kind of pressure is coming out, because generally the follow-on from a gate expand is firstly, you get yourself a Nexus. Next, you chuck down 2 gates, and then either a 3rd gate or some tech. Those are the 2 main choices that generally speaking will be coming down. The advantage of getting the 3 gates, taking you to 4 total, is that with a Mothership Core you can put on a good amount of pressure. It's really effective just to basically walk over to a Zerg's base and be like, I'm going to try and kill you. And sometimes it will, especially if they've gone for a bit of a greedy 3rd base timing. Advantage of going for 3 gates, or 2 additional gates making 3, plus some tech, say a Stargate, is you've got a bit of a better mid-game. You text earlier on, and you can still harass with that, especially quite a common thing is to see a Void Rays come out from that Stargate. You can also do it with a Robotics Facility, although that's slightly less common. Can lead to some funky things like Sentry drops into the main, which Derelict Watcher actually is amazing for, because you can come up here, drop onto this sort of area, force field the ramp, and then kill the main. Really quite comfortable to do. JonnyREcco though, he's going to get good Overlord spread. He's spreading them around everywhere, so he will know what's coming down. He's seen the timing of this Nexus. Really important to know that, because now he knows that, yeah, well, everything that's coming down. Also denies the scalp from this probe. Very beneficial. Stardust does see the creep spread, so knows that the expansion is down, but it just denies seeing exactly when gas timings were. The fact that JonnyREcco started speed and then pulled all the rest of the drones out of gas is very important, because that means Rico can't quickly get up any roaches. His 3rd will be slightly quicker because of it, but this is all information that Stardust doesn't know, but Stardust doesn't care. He's busy getting down that robotic facility with no additional gateways. So 1 gate into a Nexus, into tech, feeling very safe at the moment. And that is quite an interesting thing, because now he's gone for that. He's getting a Forge down straight after, so it's going to be an upgrade heavy play, going to be getting really tech heavy. It makes him vulnerable now. That's what you've got to remember with Stardust's build. He could, if an attack came in right at this moment, say with a lot of lings and a couple of roaches, say 7 roaches out now, that would be very difficult for Stardust to defend. That's why his Mothership Core's here, why he needs the energy on it as quickly as he can, so he's able to get that photon overcharge down ASAP. Now, Rico is sitting here with 3 queens. This means his creep spread is looking pretty good, but he's also got a bit more of a solid defense at the front. This Overlord, though, this is the key. Sees the timing of these 2 gates. Now, Rico can assume from this that, well, if those 2 gates are late after the Forge has come down, you've probably got some tech back there. Now, the only thing Rico doesn't know is whether that tech is a Stargate, a Robo, a Twilight Council, or those are the three options, if it's which one of those it is. So he may sacrifice this Overlord to the left in fairly soon, but he's already taken his third because he knows the expansion's up, knows he's going to need it regardless of what he sees, but it's going to be a War Prism coming out. So it could be that Sentry Drop style play that we've seen a couple of times before, just in various other games on my channel. And of course, that's a good reminder, if you do want some more games, go and check out my channel. There's over, well, a good number over 1,000 on there now, so you should definitely go and check that out. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already, because games come out every day of the week. Now, Overlord is on his way through. You're going to just come and take a quick little peek, see if what's coming up. Needs to ideally identify that there is a robotics facility there. Should just be able to get it. It's going to be pretty damn close though, but there we go. Does see it. Won't see the War Prism though. That got out of the way, but the fact JonnyREcco's seen that robotics facility is quite important. He already had the Rotoran coming down. He's got a good number of Zerglings, but now it's up to spotting this War Prism. Where is the first opportunity he's going to see it? Actually, with this Zergling holding the North Watchtower. That's why holding Watchtowers, ladies and gentlemen, is such a great idea to do, because it gives you this vision. Of course, Recco doesn't know about anything fishy yet, but any second, this is going to come straight through, and boom. War Prism that cannot be missed. Will this get an instant reaction? 4 roaches, get started up. Unfortunately, 9 drones had already gone on their way. I'm going to make it a little bit more tough, but we do have the Queens moving over, the Zerglings on their way back. Behind this, we've got Immortals coming down, but this is the big warp in. It's not huge, it's only 3 additional Zealots, so it's just enough to be a bit of a pain. A few Force Fields being used, just trying to trap this Queen. We'll get it down, but that exposes the Sentry slightly, and if they get taken down, that's a big loss. But for the moment, Recco not really got enough to deal with it quite yet, waiting for a few more roaches to come out, and Stardust wants this hatchery, and if it goes down, it's going to be a little bit problematic. Sentry's now getting taken out from the back. Quick little pickup. It's Zealots that need to get focused now, and JonnyREcco will be able to hold this, picking off quite a few units, and all in all, in terms of the resources lost, it's coming out fairly okay for both of them. Very equal, 25 more lost for Stardust compared to Recco for the time being, but Recco's got to be careful. He's left this hatchery slightly exposed. That could lead to a couple of drones getting killed, but straight away pulling out. We've got the Mothership Core taking some damage there. The Roaches probably will deter any additional drop play from this War Prism, just because that many can pretty much one-shot sentries, and you don't want to be losing sentries early on if you can avoid it. Now behind this, we've got the Twilight Counter coming out, as well as the Spire from Recco. So Recco's getting the +1 Carapace for ground while switching up into Mutalisks. That's why he's got this 5th and 6th gas geyser up really nice and fast, so he can get a good amount of gas in order to get that tech down quickly. Now if we take a look at what Stardust is doing, he's teching up towards Colossi while getting down this Twilight Council. That Twilight Council mainly though, probably going to allow the 2-2 upgrades. Should see Blink out of it. Could potentially see Charge, although that's a bit less likely. We'll wait and see precisely what comes down, but there we go. +2 getting started, so +1 cancelled and +2 attack on its way. So just a little switch up there. This War Prism still trying to harass it a little bit, but not able to do that much for the time being. The Overseer, the Observer rather, just getting a little bit of information. Oh, can the Overlord see the Nexus? Yes, it can. Really important scout there for Recco. This could trigger a push out of him if he wants to try and force the cancel on it, or it could just spawn him or get a response of just taking a 4th, and that's what we're going to be seeing here. Good number of roaches down, but it's the Spire that's not done yet. Recco banking up about 7. Probably going to get about 800-900 gas by the time that is done. Will allow him to start +1 attack if he wants to, or just squeeze out an extra Mutalisk. It depends how much he wants to commit to it. Generally, if you just see only Mutalisks, it most of the time is because they want to go for a nice little timing. Make your opponent think, oh god, there's Mutalisks on the field, I'm going to die. As opposed to a long game commitment to it. If you see the upgrade, that's when they're going to be pumping more and more and more Mutalisks throughout the game. It's a long-term strategy. But for the moment, Recco just banking up. There goes +1. Should now see about 10 Mutalisks get started. ASAP, we can see he's got enough money for it, but he's also got a big little push of units coming through. But more drones are coming out for the time being. Recco's drone count, not too high. He's only down to 42, quite surprisingly, and that's because he's been forced to make a lot of units. So his drone count is not really where he would want it to be, most likely. But now up to 75. Going to be looking a lot more happy with that. He hasn't really lost any. Only 3 workers have been killed. But it's the 4th coming up that I'm really interested in, because that really means that Recco's going to be staying a base up, and he's still putting the pressure on Stardust. Now, Stardust has committed heavily to Immortals. That's in response to seeing the roaches that are down. He doesn't yet know about that Spire, I don't think. Hasn't scouted yet. Where even is it sitting? Stardust's vision is from this Overseer, but does now see the Mutalisk. I'm surprised Recco didn't kill that Overseer. I keep saying Overseer, that Observer with his Mutalisks when he went through, but Still, that's fine. We've got more pylons coming down. A wall of pylons from Stardust, pretty much, added into that gateway. The War Prism, again, going to try and go for a little bit of harassment. This fourth starting to get spread out. What Rico doesn't want to have to do is deal with it too much, but that's why he's keeping these watchtowers, because now he sees it coming in. The Mutalisks can easy peasy come over there, pick off the War Prism. That'll prevent any escape. The Zealots can get dealt with without any problem at all. +3 coming down here as well for Stardust. +1 flyer attack, 2/3 done. +1 melee attack is on its way here for JonnyREcco too. The War Prism now taking a lot of fire, gets instantly taken out, and that is the drop place shut down. Down the center of the map though, we do see that Stardust trying to push through. Rico expanding to take a 5th base because he's got enough money to do it. His drone count looking quite happy. Banelings coming in as well. This is quite interesting, as well as the double evolution chamber now on its way through. No double upgrades yet for Stardust, but he is going to lose a couple of probes. A big blink forward from those Stalkers should net him 1, maybe 2 Mutalisks. Does manage to do that at the cost of only 2 probes. Definitely worthwhile. 2 probes for 2 Mutalisks, that's a good trade. So, we see additional gases getting taken, as well as a few lings just coming to check to see if there is a 4th base yet, but Stardust getting ready to move out across the map. We've got a lot of Mutalisks now out on the field though, 22 to 25 Stalkers, and as the Mutalisk count gets higher and higher, especially with the +1, it's where it gets a little bit more scary. Oh, 1 Mutalisk dies just on a rally point over, but Stardust, is he going to go for the base trade? He's got the Mothership Core with his army, so he can pick off a hatchery and then just mass recall if he wants to, and that's triggering JonnyREcco to pull back. He knows that he's got to defend this, as opposed to just going for the base trade, because head up, he will lose a base, and then Stardust can come straight back to defend anything that he may be doing with a quick recall. So Rico just trying to bait out this army. Say, well, you've either got to go for it or you've got to sit back, running a couple of units through, sacrificing them a bit. An unnecessary move there, sacrificing those, but he's doing a good amount of damage with the Mutalisk. And now seeing all these Mutalisks over here is where Stardust has to make a choice. Zerglings streaming through, but oh my cannons, that is a fair few of them. A couple more probes are going to get taken down. Is this going to go full on base trade? Well, we see that the Mutalisks are doing a great job of picking off pretty much everything. Stardust probe count down to near nothing, but in come a couple more Stalkers. They're going to do a nice little bit of damage here. Going to try and get the Spire. If they do, that means no more Mutalisks. A small little splinter group coming off here. Spine crawlers are on the way. Drones getting pulled. This is base trade to the max. Stardust splitting his army so he can try and be everywhere at once, but the downside to that is that these are making the Stalkers become bite-sized chunks for the Mutalisks, and they're going to go for it. Drones getting transferred up to that top left base. Stardust down to only 16 workers. JonnyREcco still at 55. Mutalisks managing to pick off the Mothership Core, but losing a couple in the process from a big blink. Now, the big thing is, can Rico manage to take this out? He's only slightly ahead in supply. The Mutalisks are now going for this. They're going straight through. The Sentry with Guardian Shields getting taken down because that reduces Mutalisk DPS by quite a lot. Zerglings streaming through as well. JonnyREcco pushing into this army, hardcore style. What is the Stalker count? 19 to 21 Mutalisks. The Mutalisks should now win that fight with the +1, and that's what we're seeing happening here. The Stalkers trying to back away, but they're getting very, very low. A couple of units still on the field, but Rico maintaining most of his hatcheries. Only this 4th going down at the moment. This 3rd probably going to die as well. Just going to be difficult to try and keep that. Stalkers now splitting off into 2 groups, one of which probably will die, the other may get away, and this now leaves Rico just to deal with these remaining units. He wants to try and keep up his natural, if at all possible, and also take out these big units like the Immortals, like the Colossi, but he's chasing down the Stalkers first, because keeping those low is really going to help him. This Mutalisk style working quite effectively, and unfortunately a couple of drones not actually mining, which would be good to see, but now back comes these units. They're going to start trying to clean out pretty much everything. The natural base is still up for the time being, and Rico would be quite good prioritizing that to try and save the lair, but it is now going to go down, and that, of course, is a big loss. The Colossus and the Immortal, though, die in the process. A couple of Immortals now just up here at this 4th base. The Zerglings going to try and pick it off. Will be pretty close between whether we can save the hatchery. Should be able to now that first Immortal's gone down, but it is now a very large vulnerability. The Mutalisk going to start trying to come back. We can see that in terms of army supply, Stardust in a bit of problems because he just doesn't have any income. However, he does have a Dark Shrine on the way, and when behind Dark Shrine, JonnyREcco going to try and come through here, pick off a couple more of these Stalkers. One Stalker sending all on its lonesome. The Zergling's definitely going to be able to pick that off. Now, if we look at the income, that's what's really important here. JonnyREcco is mining a lot more gas. That's preventing Stardust from getting the Stalkers that he so desperately needs. He needs a lot more minerals as well, just in order to get some of those out. Is going for the double Stargate play in an attempt to get some Phoenix here. But with so many Lings out on the field, these Stalkers very vulnerable. The Stalker count only at 7 to 18 Mutalisks, and the Mutalisks do so well against these groups of units as they start getting a little bit closer. Of course, the Watchtowers being held is a big giveaway of where everything is. These Zerglings are able to surround a lot of these Stalkers, and while they do blink, they can still get surrounded pretty easily. The Stalker's getting picked off there by the Mutalisks. Only 2 DTs remain on the field. JonnyREcco, though, without a lair and without an Overseer, is going to be in some problems. He hasn't restarted a lair anywhere else as far as I can see, so that means no detection. The DT's going to start making their way forward. These mutas attempting to pick off the Nexus at the mining base. The Natural does still have some units there, but Speedlings running around pretty much all over. Stardust aiming to not give away the position of these DTs or their existence until the last moment, because Spore Crawlers will get started. That's where things get pretty fun. One of these Stargates trying to get taken down, but so many cannons there, and that's what's causing the problem. This hatchery should die. We've got a Spine Crawler getting taken out here by the DTs, but all of the probes now are about to get slaughtered. They can try and get away as much as they want, but JonnyREcco actually not chasing them, losing attention for a brief moment while he tries to make some more Spore Crawlers around. Has 2 coming in. 1 at the natural base, that's going to get taken out. None at the main, but 1 over here at this third. But unfortunately, no units here to try and pick it off. The drone's even going to fight that DT just to try and buy some time. The Nexus are getting taken down. But well, the Zerglings should be able to save this. The third base in a little bit of problems. Of course, still no lair. Additional Spore Crawlers trying to get down in the main base just to try and keep that spawning pool alive. But look at this. There's only 3 Phoenix down. A 4th one is on its way, but still so many Mutalisks. And that's the important thing. The income for Stardust, basically 0. Now not even basically 0. Now is 0, because this is his only mining base and there is no probes there. So that's a bit of a problem for him. The DTs are working away pretty much everything now. Very frustrating, but JonnyREcco just keeping this alive. And he knows that once he's dealt with these Phoenix and these cannons, he should be okay. There's just a lot of cannons here for Stardust. What can Stardust do? Get some amazing kiting going off on these mutas. JonnyREcco desperately though wants to pick off this Stargate, prevent the Phoenix flock getting too high, and he does manage to snipe it, and boom, with that there are no more Stargates, no more Phoenix. The number will not raise above 4, and that is not really enough to trade this really well, and that's why Stardust GG's out, and JonnyREcco beats a former DreamHack winner. Pretty intense game though, very close, very cool timings. That Mutaflock just got a little too big, a little too quick. If you enjoyed that, make sure you like the video, leave a cool comment, and of course subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with yet another new cast. Thanks for watching, I'm Madals, bye for now.